Just keep it going.
I'm a soul man, no. I'm a soul man. Yes, sir. I'm a soul man. I'm a soul man, Lord.
You couldn't be so. You couldn't be so.
Just keep it going.
They I don't think. What bump? Hold on. Shamsuddin? What I learned from a bump, maybe it's what not to do.
Nobody takes down Angel Snuffing Up 7 easy. There's a reason why, after 100 channels destroyed, Angel Snuffing Up 7 is still here. There's a reason why nobody want to get in a beef with Angel Snuffing Up 7. If you don't take me seriously,
You can't touch this. You can't touch this. You can't touch this. You can't touch this. You can't touch this.
People all over the world.
See, they say that Angel Snuff Number 7 don't care about the people. But Angel Snuff Number 7 cares about the people because I'm bold enough to tell you the truth. And I don't give a damn if you give me a dime. I'm not looking for your money.
My black people, it's all about the unity. There's nothing they can do with us, so ain't nobody.
We are in a state of emergency.
Prejudice. Wrote a song about it? Like to hear it? Here it goes.
Free your mind.
Rising up and sing that our time is here. We're taking back what's been lost for years. Let the heaven of a system embrace you and praise the mother God.
All these lies and all this propaganda that you want us to say, we're gonna take out. Freedom from my mind. Freedom for my
What was that you said to me? Don't say it was nothing. You cannot lie to me. Your eyes were talking. In the way you wear your smile and in the way you wet your lips, it's enough to drive me wild, and I cannot take much more of it. So
tell me a secret, we'll share what is on your mind.
tell me a secret way.
Tell me a secret, we'll share, and I will tell you mine.
Roland, I know you got soul. 1, 2, 3, hit it.
Everybody jump.
You got it, you got it, you got it, you got it. I know you got soul. Hey, if you think you ain't been here, I know you got soul. If you think you ain't been here, I know you got soul. If you think you ain't shake that thing, get me with the beat. Hey, because it makes me sing. I know you got soul. Hey, if you think you ain't been here, I know you got the feel.
Yes. I want that. Oh, I need that. Got to have that. It's
my black people. It's all about the unity. There's nothing they can do with us, so ain't nobody.
In a state of emergency.
Prejudice. Wrote a song about it? Like to hear it? Here it goes.
Free your mind.
Keep it real.
What dear?
Because I keeps it real like that. I keeps it real.
Yes, I'd like to talk to you. Take some of your precious time. I'd like to get to know you. Would you be so kind?
Okay. Good afternoon, brother. Snup.
Hey.
All right, brother. I want to go on, get right on into this situation. So, thanks for allowing to have me on this live panel this afternoon. And also, before I move on further, I want to say shout outs to the Deacons of Reality, Mellow Cat, and all the others that's on this platform. And then in the chat, and Sister Tangi Cox and her family. And also, I like to also give shout outs once again to our brother Angel Snup 7, the #1 soul brother on this platform. and also, I want to wish everybody a happy Memorial Day that's out there with your families, you know, enjoying your time and stuff and celebrating even the loved ones you lost, you know, that were in the military due to wars and other circumstances, you know. And once again, I want to go on and get on right into what I want to talk about. The title of this video is, you know, people not being concerned. Now, through the week, you know, leading up to what could have possibly happened as far as this country going into default, you know, on its own economy, which would have been very disastrous for everybody, especially those of us who get Social Security, SSI, Medicaid, Medicare, and veterans Social Security as well, and all that good stuff, you know. Wouldn't have been getting them checks had these people, you know, who's referred to as politicians in Washington, you know, wouldn't have came to a common understanding at the table to raise up this debt ceiling, which I heard about yesterday, that they came up with a plan that they're going to go on and raise the debt ceiling because, you know, like I said, this country's economy could have went into default, and it would have not only, you know, affected the whole entire nation, but other places throughout the world, and it would have just been total disastrous chaos, you know, considering what we saw during COVID. It'd have been much 10 times worse than that. And according to the title of this video, I wanted to talk more about that because, first of all, I've seen people, you know, leading up to this, you know, walking around in the streets looking unconcerned, you know, about what's going on in the society around them as well as in the world around them. And like, they have no concern. Just like with these gouging, increasingly inflated prices, which causes food and other stuff to be very expensive. People are walking around looking like they have no concern at all. And see, one thing about in this country is that, according even to its own constitution, the people have the right to remove and replace the government if it's not working on their behalf. So basically what I'm saying too is that it's supposed to be up to the people to do something about this instead of just merely waiting on the government to do something about it. And people just running around here like they just comfortable or like they just simply don't care. And see, this is another prime example that we're living in a time that anything is possible at this point. especially in 2023, where any, major changes could take place in this country and the world, like we just saw with COVID, and it could just totally alter everything that we know as life, living in this society. But people don't care, and it's a lot of reasons for that, but I'm not going to, put too much stock in it as far as making excuses, because if we all will put our differences to the side and come together, we could change a lot of this stuff. Just like with us as soul people, if we put our differences to the side and petty differences and beliefs and all this other crap, we could come together, take control of a state that would eventually help change our entire situation as a group in this country. But of course, we're not interested, meaning we don't have no concern. So with that said, I wanted to go further in because there's some stuff that I never privately nor publicly talked to too many people about. And I just want to say that people think that in this society, we're free. Okay. They tell us we're free. Even those of us who are descendants of slaves born in this country, they tell us that we're free. But at the same time, we're nothing but a group that's living on borrowed time like a loose cannon, since they just let us loose off the plantation. And ever since then, we ain't been doing nothing but running around here like a loose cannon, because we don't have no direction of where to go at as a group, because we're so used to being under the control of others.
Yes. Especially others who don't like us. So we just running around here like a bunch of loose cannon balls, And so what the situation is that, I was having a conversation yesterday, and I mentioned that here it is in these other nations like Cuba and China. They don't give you no option. They tell you, look, you can't speak out against the government. You can't do this or you can't do that. And if you do, we're going to just straight kill you. We're going to just eliminate you, delete you. Simply as put, and that'll be that. Just look at what's recently been happening in countries like Iran. They just been killing their citizens left and right because they speaking out or standing up against the government there, right? Well, at least I could say that they're genuinely straight up about their oppression. But over here in this country, they'll tell you you free, and at the same time, they still are oppressing you. That's not being free, and that's not living. And because so many of our lives is being played with every day like this, just like with them politicians in Washington, whether they Democrats or Republicans, playing with our lives in terms of a threat of a default on this country not paying its bills, put our lives at risk. You see what I'm saying? And so with this type of situation that society is breeding is why people are out here just simply giving up. Now, with that said, as far as people giving up, and I want you to listen and pay attention closely to what I'm saying when I say people giving up. Because, and I'm not saying this to encourage people to give up either. I want to make that, as somebody say, perfectly clear. But I will say this, that people give up. People end up homeless, on drugs, even incarcerated, because they just simply gave up. And that's because of the pressures of society. You know, the overburden and unbearing pressures of society simply is cut, dry, put. And I want to share something with you. While during different periods of times in my own personal life, when I was homeless, and of course, even during the times I was incarcerated, of course, like most who are still incarcerated, I didn't have to worry about responsibilities like paying bills. So I wouldn't be put outdoors or, you know, worrying about how I'm gonna keep a job and all this kind of stuff. While I put up constantly with BS on the job, you know, worrying about how, you know, where my next income is going to come from, or if my income situation is going to be steadily the same until I could do better or whatever, or worrying about, you know, if I'm going to lose all that, worrying about being responsible in order just to be able to stay out here on this side of the barbed wire fence, meaning I got to walk on eggshells, and meaning when I say eggshells, I got to worry about how I walk, how I talk, how I actually, you know what I'm saying, move, even how I move my hands when I'm around certain people in certain situations. Because we got to remember, those of us who are descendants of slaves born in this country, our skin color is a crime in itself. That's number one. Our skin color is a crime. All we got to do is just look at how many blacks die all the time at the hands of these so-called race soldiers, right? So, you know, and with that, and even how people, no matter what color they are, end up getting oppressed in some type of form or way or another by the same systemic racial system and oppressive system that we live under in this nation. And then with us as individuals or as groups taking on responsibilities just to maintain in life, that's a struggle itself because of the pressures that come along with that. Just trying to get a simple basic education, you got to catch a lot of push back and flack and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're a person that looks like me or Taalik, you know, or look like the deacons of reality. You see what I'm saying? So, or that look like Mellow Cap or somebody, you know? So we have to put up, you know what I'm saying, with all this pressure while we work and strive to be emotionally and mentally strong when it comes to dealing with this. Sometimes, including me, I'm sure, we just simply like to give up like a whole lot of other people have given up. and I'm gonna get to my point further as I go along further on with this topic, because I remember I ran into a Caucasian Christian the other day before I was on my way to work, and we were sitting outside just briefly talking, and he said that he goes downtown and, you know, asks people if they want something to eat, you know, offering to buy people something to eat or seeing if they want a job. And these are homeless people he was talking about, right? Locally here in town. And he said he never got a response that they wanted to go to work or that they wanted a job, and some just simply said they didn't want to, according to him, you know, basically. And when I heard that, I thought about it. And being, like I said before, that I've been homeless at different points of my life, I said, I can't judge that because I don't know what brought them there to that point, that they just totally give up, even when people are willing to help them to get on their feet, and they just simply don't want no help. There's something wrong with that picture. Because don't nobody wake up one day and say, I want to be homeless. I want to be a criminal, taking chances on losing my freedom or my life. Don't nobody wake up simply saying that that's what they want their life to be like. That's just not practical in reality. So it's a problem. And there's something wrong with that. And with that said, while I was homeless during periods of times, especially traveling in many different parts of the United States, I never said this publicly to too many people, like I said before, nor privately to too many people. But there were times that, and I subconsciously didn't even realize it, but I actually felt free when I was homeless. You know, because I didn't have to worry about responsibilities like I do today. Keeping the rent paid, keeping the bills paid, keeping a job so that I could be able to do that, or keeping the income so that I could be able to do that. You see what I'm saying? I didn't care. That almost got to the point that even though I eventually wanted to get out that situation, but subconsciously, I didn't even realize that I felt more free. And when I say that I felt more free, because I didn't have to deal with the pressures of what comes along with being responsible because of the society that we live in. You know? And my point is that as well, that those that are incarcerated, they don't have to deal with these responsibilities like we do out here. Even though they go through their own struggles, being incarcerated, of course, but they don't have to deal with these wide, broad struggles like we got to deal with out here. You see, and some of them, I'm not saying all, but some of those that are incarcerated is very content with that, and will openly admit it. Because I heard some people say when I was incarcerated that they was glad when they got arrested by the police, so that they could be rescued. Rescued from what? Well, we know this side of the barbed wire fence, regardless of whatever they might have been going through, you know? And some of them just blatantly will admit that they got free hots in the cot. They ain't got to worry about paying for nothing. They taken care of, and that's that. And we have a lot of people in this country, as a result, that is living that way today. You know, in the penal colony system of this society, as well as on the outside of the penal colony system in this nation. So, you know, this society has brought people to the point where, especially when they see other people are not concerned about the conditions that this society breeds, that causes us to live in these unfortunate conditions of society, especially when you got the rich that's so privileged that they ain't got to worry about the responsibilities like poor people do in this society. You see what I'm saying? And that's another thing. As a matter of fact, even for them, it's a struggle staying rich, because they don't know who might try to bring them down or even possibly kill them to take their fortune away from them. Or they might end up going in debt and end up just like everybody else that's poor. Some people don't even know how to deal with success. Like this basketball player, I forgot his name, he plays in the NBA. But now he getting caught up in all kind of scandals, like with carrying guns, being shown in pictures, you know, on social media, holding guns and stuff and all that kind of stuff, which is now to the point where his career is in jeopardy. Millions of dollars gone out the window, you know, because he don't know how to handle success, let alone as an athlete, but as a celebrity. And it's quite some of these people we know about in history when it comes to sports and entertainment that simply didn't know how to handle success because of the pressures or what it comes along with being successful in that manner in this society, especially because of a certain standard you got to live by that you're not used to living by, that you don't want to have to subject yourself to live by in order to keep up that type of lifestyle. You see what I'm saying? So again, people simply give up, turn to drugs, turn to homelessness, and all that stuff. You see what I'm saying? Because this is the society, the type of society that we live in, and that breeds that. Instead of just being real with us, like I mentioned, like countries like Cuba, China, and said, look, you can only have this much to live on. You can only have this much small ration of food to live on, and that's it. You get nothing else. Imagine that. We try in this country, we try to get as much as possible, and we got to struggle doing that. Instead of them just saying, like some of the other countries I mentioned, look, this is what you get, and that's it. Don't tell me that I'm free, that I got the opportunity you know, to obtain unlimited prosperity in this society, but you still put roadblocks in my way, whether because I'm black or because I got a felony on my record or because I'm a LGBTQ or transgender or some other type of minority, in the whole yard. You see what the whole 9 yards, you know? This is the society we living in. That's very hypocritical. And this is what drives people to that point. This is one of the reasons why in the richest nation on earth, we have more homeless people than any other country in the world, even including some of the most poorest countries we could know about in the world. You know, because of what society breeds from the government on down, from corporations on down, in terms of greed. This is why we got the biggest wealth separation gap between the rich and poor, where it's no longer middle class in this country. And this is why we see why things is getting chaotic. And people say, well, they place more stock or blame on COVID, but I tell you, COVID just basically expedited the situation of what people in this country in the millions always thought in terms of the haves and have-nots being concerned. You see what I'm saying? So, just like people say, well, Trump separated the country. You know, well, the country was already separated. All he did was turn up the flames of what was already there. You see what I'm saying? So now we got situations going on in this nation where you have more guns in this country than you do people. And we know it's over 300 million people in this country. Too many people in itself as of that matter. But we got more guns than we got people in this country. You see the dangerous situation that we finding ourselves in, audience, you know, and we don't even realize it. Some of us is walking around here not even concerned about that, despite all these mass shootings, hundreds of mass shootings that's been going on in the last year or two, you know, in this country. The police brutality constantly that's still going on in this country. You know, the gun violence that's constantly itself going on in this country, where you don't know when you walk out your door if you're going to be still here or gone the next minute. You know what I'm saying? People just out here running around like they ain't got no kind of concerns whatsoever. So that's a definitely big concern that everyone, especially living in this nation, should have and be willing to actually do something about it, to change it. But of course, like I said, people are not interested. And this is why things simply are going to keep getting worse. Now, we was just worried about this country defaulting on its own economy. You see, And then you got these religious cults like the Nation of Islam talking about the American dollar falling. Okay, let's say if the American dollar did crash, what you gonna do? You're not in a position to do nothing. You're not in the position with a defense against that. So you're gonna be caught up in the web of things along with everybody else. Because you don't have no defense plan against that. Nobody is really prepared for that, which correlates with the possibility that this country could have been going into a default by the early part of next month, which is just a few days from now. You see what I'm saying? No one would have been prepared for this. So what I'm saying is that, you know, it's because people is so caught up in their own world of fantasies that truly don't matter. And this is why I'm not, and I'm pretty sure other individuals that I know here on social media and amongst the broad public are not typically considered average, because we don't talk like average people. You know, this is why we keep it real on this platform, a reality temple on earth, you know, because we don't have no time to be playing games with other people's lives, let alone our own, because that's what's done from top to bottom levels in this country, is that people's lives is being played with every day. And like, again, like I mentioned before, I was telling somebody, not in the sense of literally meaning or what I'm about to say, but we might as well be like China or Cuba, where you tell the people, look, this is the position you're in, and that's the position you're going to be in, because we say so. And it's just that simple. And if you go outside of that norm, we going to delete you. In some countries, like I believe India, where if you're poor, you can't even rise up out of poverty. You're just considered a underclass, a permanent underclass. In this country, they're working to try to get to that point too. And see, this is what they're not being straight up about, you know? So this is once again where it comes down to people's lives being played with. This is why you got people doing crazy stuff, like losing their mind on these jobs, committing mass shootings because they mad at their boss, or because they mad because they've been shortcutted on their pay or anything, you know? And so they just take it out on not only the person they have the problem with, but they take it out on everybody else that's in the way. You see what I'm saying? And they don't care. People don't care no more. This is why our youth is out of control, because they don't care, because of the type of circumstances that they were born into in this society. So they don't care. And you haven't given them a reason or why they should care, because they looking at it like this. If this is how grown adults got to go through life in order just to survive, You know what I'm saying? Then we might as well do the same thing. And so, I mean, you can't even blame my youth for the way they feel, especially when their parents ain't putting them in the position to where they could have the right instructions on how to live their lives, especially when they get older. You know, so like I said, it's all out of whack right now in terms of what we're dealing with. And I have to also say that when I look at people that are homeless, going back to that because of that situation with me being familiar with, you know, by way of experience, you know, it's no fun being homeless. Just like it's no fun being incarcerated in jail and prison. It's no fun being homeless. But you do, as a homeless person, you do got a little bit more options than ones who are incarcerated, of course, but that's even limited. Because do you know, in this nation, because of people's criminal past history, a prison record, that they can't even get a job sweeping or mopping the floor at McDonald's. I'm gonna share some with y'all because I don't think I shared it. I may have shared it before, but I'm gonna share it again, whether I have or not. This sister, I remember one of the first times, and this was over 10 years ago, one of the first times I ever thought about going back to school to get my diploma. I was in the same classroom with this sister. And so we were on break. And while we were on break, me and her was having a brief casual conversation. And she straight up told me she had a sibling that did time in the feds. And because of the circumstances of his crime or what he did time in the feds for, she said that she had mentioned that he had got his GED while he was incarcerated in the feds. But she said he could not do nothing with it because he couldn't even get no federal funding to help him go to college. Like, you know, them Pell Grants and stuff they give out. He couldn't even get that because of his federal charge conviction. He couldn't even get a job, even as low as on the low totem pole is even mopping the floor at McDonald's. And if he was ever to get a job working for a check, it would be immediately garnished by the government. In other words, he wouldn't even see that check at the end of that week or 2 weeks. You see what I'm saying? So being in that type of peculiar situation, he is obviously not the only person in this country going through that. There's a lot of brothers and sisters going through that, where they can't even get a job. They can't even get us a job to make ends meet. I don't care if it's just a $10 an hour job, the below or minimum wage job. They cannot get a job, period. If they get a job trying to make any type that deems them working for a legal paycheck, it will be taken away just like that. for the rest of their life. I'm going to repeat it again, for the rest of their life. So that means in that case, they are deemed as a permanent underclass. They'll tell you in this country that you're not a permanent underclass, especially because of the color of your skin or whatever, but let you get caught up in the system and end up, you know, getting a criminal record. And depending on that criminal record, you can't even make a living because of the degree, circumstances of that criminal record. Like what that sister explained to me about her sibling over 10 years ago. You see what I'm saying? So this is what we're dealing with in this country. They tell you that you're free, but you're not free. Even those like myself who can, to a certain point, be allowed through the door to get second chances. It's still a struggle within that. Because if you're holding a job and you got a record, do you know that while you're an employee on that job, your boss could still use that against you, especially if he got a disagreement with you about something? They could still use that against you, even if they just bring it up. They could still use that against you, even if they just use it against you to hurt your feelings or whatever. They could still use that against you. And so what position are you in to be able to even do something about that? You see what I'm saying? So this is when I say that we're not really free. Once again, I was even talking about something yesterday with somebody, whereas even if you're black, of course, you ain't got to be out there committing a crime. But according to the police, in their eyes, especially if they're profiling you, or if they think you fit a certain profile, so to speak, then in their eyes, you're committing a crime. Matter of fact, do you know how many people are in prison for that? I'm gonna say it again. Do you know how many people in this country are in prison for that? Thousands. Yeah. Because they falsely fit a profile of some certain type of kind of crime that they didn't even commit. And some of them can't even appeal their cases and get out. On not even on the technicality. They can't even get out because the system got certain things in place. Like they could they could keep certain court files sealed, where if a person is incarcerated, they can't even have it reopened to even fight their case, so they could get back to their freedom. You see what I'm saying? Or the little freedom that we're allowed to have in this country. So, I mean, this is a reality, pointing out again that we're not really free like we think we are. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the truth of the matter. We're not free. Whether we want to accept the truth or not, we're not free. And like I said, this even transcends across all different color and ethnicity lines. Because even though we constitute, or rather, how can I put it, because we're the majority in the prison population around America, you got other ethnicity groups who are incarcerated that go through the same thing. Whether they are white, Mexican, Hispanic, Asian, or whatever they may be. You see what I'm saying? They go through the same thing, just like we do to a certain point. You see what I'm saying? So it affects all of us in one whole nutshell in this country, you know? And you know, it's like you look at yourself and you ask yourself, are you free? It's just like this. We are in the richest nation in the world, still considered the richest nation on earth. But yet, we got more homeless people, like I said before, than even countries that are considered third world has. We have more homeless people than any nation on earth, like we got more incarcerated people than any nation on this earth. And just like people could do something about all this mass incarceration going on in this nation, they're in a position where they could do something about all this homelessness going on in the nation. But of course they're not, because they want to keep a certain class of people subjected to being below others, as I said before, as a permanent underclass, instead of just being straight up with you like other countries like India. You know, saying it one way and then saying it another way. You see what I'm saying? So this is the situation we're living in, and we got to do something about it. Because we bring solutions on this panel, unlike other panels on social media. We have to do something about it. Tangibly, we got to do something about it. And that's all it is to it. We got to do something about this. Of course, I don't have all the answers. Angel Snuff 7 don't got all the answers. Deacons of Reality don't got all the answers. This is why it's called coming together on a common collective basis. It's a reason for that. And because we're not coming together on a common collective basis, is the reason why things is continually getting worse like this in this country. Let me read this comment in the section. Okay, who is this? Cool for Rock Roll. Okay, he says, now we're not free. No, we're not free, and none of us are. It's the reality due to the evil and malicious of mankind. Yes, that's true. I concur with that. I definitely concur with that. And greetings to you also, brother Cool for Rock and Roll. But yeah, that's true. That's a worldwide situation. Considering even what we see now that's happening in other Western countries, like even in England, the UK, you know, because of that brisket situation over there, since they stepped outside of the European Union and did no longer want to be a part of the European Union, because of the assertiveness of racism in that country, like over here in America. You know, so yes, I definitely concur, you know, with what you're saying on that note. Yes, none of us are free, but to a certain point, I must also say that in other certain countries, you know, we will find that there are people, whether rich or poor or middle class, and are able to get along fine on an equal basis according to the way that they treat each other. And of course, we don't see this in America. But let me read this other comment from this same brother here. America has more homeless people than any other country in the world, and it's mind-blowing. Yes, once again, like I said, yes, and I concur with that, because I just said that, yes. I just got done speaking on that. And I'm going to read this other comment here. He got, those bastards and politicians call this great America, and I call it the land of the deception of BS propaganda. Exactly. Exactly. And pointing out right there what you just said in that comment, cool for rock and roll. When I first started this live video, yes, shout out to you too, brother. Cool for rock and roll. But like you just said, that point you just made was perfectly on the nail, because I just spoke about that, you know, where comparing to other countries where they'll tell you that you're free, you know, they'll tell you that you got the right, you know, to be prosperous and to be able to freely obtain free enterprises and all this kind of stuff, you know, but yeah, you got all stumbling blocks put in front of you to be able to get to that point, which comes along with discrimination, racism, and other forms of opposition, you know. So yes, you're right about that. Yes, it is definitely a country of deception. And I think this is the biggest country of deception, because in them other countries, they would straight up tell you what it is. Like in Cuba, you can only get so much food for each family per family household. You can only get so much food. You know what I'm saying? You can't just go in the supermarket like here in the United States and buy up as much food as they allow you here to be able to do. There, you get certain rations and portions, and it's small portions from what I've heard for years. And that's it. Unless you a part of their political system, or you up in a high, you know, unless you in a high position in society in Cuba, and you're able to obtain more privileges like that, when it comes to food, clothes, money, you know, shelter and stuff like that, you know, that's all you get. And if you got a problem with it, then you're going to have a problem with them. Here, they tell you that that this is the land of plentiful, unlimited plentiful, but yet if you try to reach that point of obtaining as much as you want to in this so-called land of plentiful, then you still gonna have a problem with them. So yes, you're right. This is the biggest, this society is definitely known for its deceptive BS, like you said. And I also want to say this. Oh, and the other thing you were saying, people out there with those belief systems are not ready for this real talk. Exactly. That's what I just said about the Nation of Islam. You know? Yes. That's exactly what I said about the Nation of Islam. People like them. The nation, the Hebrew Israelites, like that was under Yahweh ben Yahweh. You know, where people caught on to his, you know, buffoonery and deception, they got killed. They actually got their heads chopped off, fingers chopped off. You know, but they was finding bodies in the Everglades down there in Florida, near where his temple was located in Miami. His main temple that he had down there. You know. Yes. Yes, you know, these religious cults, and see, this is another thing too I was going to get to, because these religious cults, now, if they want to end homeless, one way to end homelessness in America is that these religious cults got the power, the money and influence to be able to do that. Because I know of some places, like when I was converted to Islam, some places around the country, you had brothers and sisters living in a mosque. Actually, they was living in a mosque. Whether they prayed there, they ate there, slept there daily. You know, imams would allow them to stay there until they got on their foot or whatever, or even told them they could stay there as long as they could. You see what I'm saying? You actually had religious institutions like that I've seen in other parts of the United States. And also, too, when I was living in Kansas City back in the early 2000s, this Catholic religious organization had a whole apartment building for itself. They had a whole entire apartment building with units, numbers of units in it. And all you had to do was convert to their religion or say that you was Catholic. And you could live up in them apartments and didn't have to pay a dime. You live rent-free and food-free. You was taken very well care of. You see what I'm saying? That's why I say that these religions, whether it's Islam or Christianity, instead of the government doing something about ending homelessness in this country, they have just as the same amount, equal power and influence to be able to end homelessness in this country, or at least, limited to a great degree. But they don't want to, because majority of these religious organizations is simply about themselves and about that money, that they don't care about nobody else. But let them take away that 503K, which allows them to make all that money off of gullible people, and see how much interest they have in them so-called belief systems. You see what I'm saying? Them churches are shut down overnight. The mosques, even some of the mosques, are shut down overnight. Take away that 501K or 503K. All these churches we see on the corner would disappear just like that. In the quick blinking of an eye. But these religions have a central position to actually end homelessness. They said it was a time in America where the church was your refuge. If you didn't have nowhere to go, you could actually come into church. It's like when they was trying to lynch our ancestors during Jim Crow. The church was their refuge. It was part of their protection. Well, that don't exist no more. You know, so yeah, that religious, you know, what I pointed out about them different religious organizations or mosques or church, you know, around that I've seen around the country that actually, you know, been over to some point to help homeless people is a clear example that they could do something about this homelessness without even the government's involvement. You see what I'm saying? But of course, things are put in place so that they won't be able to really do that. You see what I'm saying? They got certain laws, I'm sure, in place. You know, that, you know what I'm saying? They can't just do that. Because then that means if they do that, then that means that the government will really get in their business at that point. Because now they helping the disenfranchised, the poor, the homeless, the destitute. But long as they hoarding up that money that they getting through that 501k plan, I believe it is. Long as they hoarding up all that money for themselves, like people like T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar, Louis Farrakhan, and the list goes on. You know what I'm saying? You know, they ain't got no problem with that. But when they see them religious organizations and they leaders within them religious organizations starting to reach out to really help those that are considered as underclass in this country, then the government got a problem with you. Corporations will even stop donating to these religious institutions. You see what I'm saying? Let me read this comment again. You say these Catholic religious are just as bad too. It's all about, yes, that's what I just said. I didn't say all of them help poor people like that. I just said it was one religious Catholic organization group I saw when I was living in Kansas City, Missouri, that did. Gave these people a whole entire apartment building that they run and they lived in it. You know what I'm saying? And did not have to worry about paying rent or nothing. And could stay there long as they wanted to. Wasn't no time limits. Could stay there long as they wanted to. But yes, of course, I concur. All them Catholic organizations and other Christian organizations and other religious organizations in this country don't do that. Yes, I didn't say, but that's when I mentioned that, brother. I didn't say all of them. But yes, I concur with you on that part that, of course, we know the Catholic Church. Yeah, almost everybody in the world should know the Catholic religion is just as bad. They was responsible for slavery, colonialism, and still to this day go along with a lot of this political corruption and all this other stuff in the world. So yes, we definitely are on par with that. We on the same page, definitely. But you know, like I said before, yeah, if we had more of them organizations, like I'm gonna repeat again, that did that, we'll see the homeless situation in this country evaporate to a very low level, unlike any other time in history in this country. Because then you will see more social programs that even to the point where the government wouldn't even have to get involved. But of course, like I said, the government is not going to allow that. You know, but yeah, I mean, you know, and this is reason why I said that. Wait a minute, let me see what brother Snup said. Unfortunately, a lot of so-called empathy and kindness from religious pro-blackness community comes with strings attached. It's not real, just the usual exploitation, not genuine caring. Oh yes, definitely. Definitely. Oh yeah, most definitely. And I concur. Yes, most definitely. You know, and that's why I said, longest when they giving people like them pro-black conscious organizations like the Nation of Islam, 501ks like they do with them Christian churches, and longest they are not using it for the real purpose of actually helping people, you know, I mean, it's like, you know, they are right with it. They are right with them just blatantly robbing people of not only just millions, but billions of dollars. This is why people like Louis Farrakhan ain't got to worry about being on the streets or homeless. Him and his family ain't got to worry about being on the streets or homeless, because they don't want for nothing. Even when he died, which he's on his last leg, you know, so when he eventually passes away, his family is going to be left with a fortune that's going to last generations of a lifetime. Just like with these people like Creflo Dollar, who I just mentioned, T.D. Jakes, and the list goes on. They're going to be, them and their families are going to be secure, even in death. Generations of their families is going to benefit off of that fortune because of their exploitation of the people that they claim to want to help and do right by. You see what I'm saying? So yes, this is real. This is definitely real. And let me see this other comment here. Okay, the medical field of those doctor quacks, aka pimps, and the white coats don't care about the poor people's health too. They in it for the money too of the system. Yes, exactly. And this is why me personally, myself, I am regressing away from taking pharmaceutical medicines as far as keeping my health in check and turning to what you want to call it, primitive ways of how to keep my health in check, like with my diabetes, sugar, and stuff like that. Now I still take my insulin because I know I just can't come right up off of that right away. But that other stuff, yes, it doesn't really help people's health. It only makes people's health worse. And that's why the pharmaceutical industry is so rich. They be even more richer than these bank corporations, probably by now. But yes, brother, I definitely concur with you saying on that level as well, you know. And you know, and let me read this other comment here by our brother Angel Snuff 7. I reached out to Black community, especially the so-called pro-Black people, and basically was ignored, but have the nerve to beg me for a donation for their leader, aka slave master, aka pimp. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about, you know. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. You know, that's the type of stuff I'm talking about. And this is what's causing our society even more crisis. This is why a lot of people is leaving these religions and giving up. And when you get a religious convert or people born in these religions to simply give up on life, they turn out to be even more worse than the common person in the streets, because they was propagandally indoctrinated with a bunch of BS that they base their lives on, and that they base, you know, the betterment of all humanity on. You see what I'm saying? So at this point, they see that they also falsely drunk the Kool-Aid. Once they finally realize that, it's like it's no hope. It's no understanding. So people is just out of whack. And a lot of these people out here that's committing these violent acts, even mass shootings, I'm sure, belong to some type of religious organization that they was falsely indoctrinated by, like these cults and stuff. Like in the case with the Davis Koreshes and stuff like that, you know? So yeah, I mean, this is what we dealing with. And yeah, speaking of this comment here, yeah, Tina Turner, brother said you're gonna be primitively dead. Tina Turner did that and had 2 strokes. Kidney failure, playing around with high blood pressure. She did dialysis. Yeah, you know. But you know, I'm gonna say this too, brother, that they do have herbs out there, you know, that has been proven, natural herbs that you know, the pharmaceutical communities do not even want people, or rather the pharmaceutical industries do not want the public to know about at all, that can actually heal people health-wise. Because they know if the majority of people find out about that, that's gonna cut into their money. You see what I'm saying? Yes, sir. Thank you too, brother Cool, for rock and roll. You know, they're going to find out about that. If they find out that they don't actually have to use these pharmaceutical medications, no telling what they put in them, and resort to herbs and certain other things, you know, then I mean, you know, the pharmaceutical communities, you know, end up losing money, and they don't want that. So, you know, like somebody always say, them pharmaceutical medicines hurt people more than it helps them. Oh, you said, who are these people, these weeds held? I don't quite understand that, but I try to answer that to the best of my ability. Well, I saw online where they were getting they were ordering certain herbs from overseas that you can't find here in the United States. And then to be able to, you know, heal themselves without resorting to pharmaceutical medicines. And also, too, there are places, even like right here in town where I'm from, where they got certain things like teas and certain other herbs that you could crush inside a cup of water and, you know, actually be able to, you know what I'm saying, heal you instead of people, because, you know, who's on these pharmaceutical medicines and stuff like that, you know. Now, I'm not saying that I'm just going cold turkey to get off these pharmaceutical meds, but I'm winging myself off of them, off these certain pharmaceutical meds. I am winging myself away from it. I just put it that way, you know, because I've come to find out, long as I've been taking these pharmaceutical medications, it only increased the worseness of my health. Because before I started taking them, my health wasn't as bad in a way at the point that it is now. Now, thankfully, it's not super bad, but it wasn't bad as it was before I started taking all these pharmaceutical medicines. So me speaking on that for myself from that experience, I could say that, you know, I have no problem, and from what I've understood and researched, to resort to certain herbs naturally that can help a person heal. Let me see that other comment you put up there, brother. Not this comment you got posted up here, but the other comment you just took down. I want to see that again. Now you saying all these mental health, all these health genius ain't no healthier than anyone else. Who are the examples? They should testify by the thousands. Well, brother, the best, I can't really answer that, but I can say this, is that there are some people, the brother said Dr. Sebi, yeah, but a lot of these people don't make themselves out front publicly like Dr. Sebi did, to be able, you know, for some reason. But I will say there are people out there, you know, that can testify to this. Now, of course, yes. Now, of course, you know, like I said, it's a catch-22. Okay, these these weeds probably good for preventative means, but once you got this diagnosis, the weeds work too slow to help you. Tina Turner was wealthy. The weeds didn't help her. Okay, and you know, I can concur with that. I could definitely concur with that to a certain point, right? But see, this is the thing, brother, is that we in the middle of a catch-22. We in the middle of a catch-22, all right? Dealing with all this, and especially with the pharmaceutical thing, medication, because at the same time, yes, once you got these diagnoses, it is hard to really be able to really heal oneself. It is hard. Yes, I totally agree with that. But at the same time, my thing is that I believe that for me, I'm not going to say for nobody else because I'm going to speak for myself. For myself is that I believe that it would be less stress on my body if I resorted to trying something else than constantly trying these pharmaceutical meds. And no, I don't have no medical answers completely on how to deal with this. So yes, I do, to a certain point, brother, concur with you on that. Now, would you say we can believe whatever you wish? Those people are a bunch of frauds also. Yeah. 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 To a certain point, because a lot of them do, you have to trust. That's why people got to trust with certain things they even research or watch on the internet too. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a fact. I've been fighting cancer since 2020 and high blood pressure since 2013. Wow. Yeah, I've been fighting this type 2 diabetes since I found out I had it in 2008, and then this blood pressure. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, brother, I definitely concur with that. That's why I say we in the middle of a catch-2 situation. You know, we in the middle of a catch-22 situation because, see, we don't know what can really help us. Just like people don't know what is exactly the right foods to eat, despite of what we've been taught, even by those that are supposed to be health conscious wise when it comes to food, you know. So yes, I definitely can see what you're saying there, brother Angel Snuff 7. Now with this comment here, it's all up to us to save ourselves and others who are on the same team, like tribe. Good point. A good point. A good point. Yeah, it's definitely a good point. Because at the same time, you know, we're dealing with a situation that I mean, man, we can only do the best we can. That's why when me and brother Angel Snuff 7 came up with the idea of the Operation Exodus Mississippi campaign back in 2018, 5 years ago, as I speak, we warn everybody that we don't have all the answers. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, we warn people about that we don't have all the answers. Yes, we definitely warn people that we don't have all the answers. And yes, that's true. We don't have all the answers. No, we do not have all the answers. I totally agree with that point. Yes, we don't have all the answers. And it's unfortunate that we don't have all the answers. But hey, you know, with us coming together on a common collective basis, we can cure ourselves if we cooperate with each other in the best way as possible. But because we're not cooperating with each other in the best way as possible is why we're finding ourselves in so much of a traumatic situation with these conditions, whether it be health-wise, socially wise, and so forth on, you know, because we don't want to come together on a common collective basis, you know. Okay, let me see this comment here. This brother, this brother say, don't have to be a bad thing. The real death is appeasing who don't care nothing about us. Wow. The fakes and the extroverts trying to play big time with fancy degrees and expensive cars. Man, I'm glad you pointed that out. Brother, cool for rock and roll. I'm glad you pointed that out because I'm finna go in on that. It's a good thing you just pointed that out because you just gave me something to go in on now. Because I didn't even think about it at the moment before I read this comment by you. But that what you just said, piggybacking off that what you just said, brother, I see this going on among those that I'm related to by blood, like many others, you know, who have relatives that got this mentality that they finally arrived, as some would say, or that think that they're, you know, the Mr. Beginning and the Mr. All Ending. You see what I'm saying? Because they got more money than you. They got fancy cars, fancy expensive jewelry, nice homes that they done paid tens of thousands or even 100,000 or even possibly $1 million for, or, you know, and you just below them. And see, this is what's destroyed or what we know as families over the time, especially among us as soul people. You know, this is what's causing the violence, the domestic violence that goes on amongst us as soul people and amongst us as all humanity being concerned, period. And this is one reason why I spoke about these guns, so many of these guns being scattered around this country more than our population is, because we have become more separated. And I'm going to tell you something. People talk about how Trump separated this country. That wealth gap thing separated us even way long before he even thought about running for president, okay? That wealth gap thing separated us all. And it's just getting worse. So that's all it is to it. Because I was just discussing this yesterday. As a matter of fact, that when I was a young kid, right? Okay, yeah. Yes, go in on these so-called big time booty. So yes, that's what I'm about to do, brother. Yes. Well, let me say this here. Back when I was a young kid, okay, and I was raised in New York City, in the metropolitan tri-state area of New York City, of course. I was around celebrities. I had access to run into celebrities quite a bit. Famous athletes of that time when I was raised there, you know, even dignitary heads of state, because you got to remember they got the United Nations there. And through that, I was able to run into former prime ministers of Israel and presidents of Japan and stuff like that. I even ran into former President Jimmy Carter, okay, who was a president when I was a kid. You know, but this was long after he was president, because he was, you know, helping to build houses for human habitat, which is something he was heavily into after he was the president, you know. So I ran into all these kind of people, but big deal, you know, like I said, but I ran into these different type of people, right? And the main people concernedly that I wanted to talk about that I ran into was professional boxers. Now, professional boxing was a sport that I wanted to get into as a younger man, but I didn't have that much of a strong ambition for it at the same time because of different reasons that I never got to that point. And I even had people, top known professional boxing trainers that trained world champions that offered to train me when I was a kid, younger man, you know, as a teenager. But like I said, I never got around to it for different reasons. But anyway, I hung around in boxing gyms in New York City. And because I did come from a boxing background, far as in my blood relative bloodline background, you know, you know, actually, you know, was able to run into those different fighters of that time that was popular, like that white heavyweight contender that many of you probably heard of, Jerry Cooney. Yes, I ran into Mike Tyson early on as he was coming up as a contender in his career, right before he won the heavyweight title at 20 years old. And I ran into Muhammad Ali. I ran into him twice, but I ran into him in New York. I saw him in New York City at one of them live gate fights I was at their famous arena called Madison Square Garden. I ran into, you know, Jimmy Young, sat at the table and dined and broke bread with him. Jimmy Young was a former heavyweight champion who fought both Ali and Frazier. You know, I could sit up and talk to these people, dine, eat with them. I even met Crooked Don King. Didn't have too much to say to him, but I did meet him. You know, I met, who else? Other different professional boxers like Hector Camacho, who some of y'all might remember from back in the 80s. I met Aaron the Hawk Pryor. I saw him, you know, I saw Sugar Ray Leonard. I ran into him twice, you know, of course. And I ran into Tommy Hitman Hearns, who was from my hometown of Detroit, Michigan. Matter of fact, I saw him more in Detroit, but a couple more times in Detroit, but I did see him in New York City while I was still in New York City being raised. I ran across him, you know. So I saw a lot of great Hall of Fame boxers at the time. And they were more open. And these guys, even though then they was making millions, you know, or had made millions in their career, a lot of them, except for a couple of them, you know, were cordial, respectful, because they understood that the fans was the reason why they got to the point where they were, even in their careers, okay? But now you have this generation, you know what I'm saying? Like with the Floyd Mayweathers, with the Devin Haney's. And I don't know Devin Haney that well, never met him. But I met Floyd Mayweather, what, 20-some years, about 20 years ago. Yeah, I met him in California before he became more popular as he even is now in retirement. And, you know, I actually said a couple words to him regarding his uncle, Roger Mayweather, who was also a world boxing champion. You know, I was just basically having a little chitter-chat conversation, telling him how far I go back with knowing of him, you know, because they all was out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is in my home state. You know, I'm from Detroit. They was from Grand Rapids, which is on the other side of the state of Michigan. So, you know, and Floyd Mayweather came from a boxing legacy family. His father, who used to train him, fought Sugar Ray Leonard, you know. So anyway, you know, I spoke to him briefly. He didn't even look at me. He said something, but he didn't even look at me. You know what I'm saying? He did not even give me a look. It was like total unacknowledgement. That's the attitude these athletes, and you'll find that in basketball, you'll find that in football with these athletes today. They'll look at you like you a piece of doodle. This is flat out, you know? Because they got millions and you probably some poor cat off the street who just trying to shake their hand or get an autograph, and they still act, you know, narcissistic and disrespectful towards you. As a matter of fact, and those that are younger than him now that's considered superstars in that sport, I'm pretty sure they're a lot worse. Even from me watching them on social media, I'm pretty sure they're a lot worse. Because Floyd was born, I was born in the late 60s and he was born in the late 70s, so we wasn't that far apart in age, maybe about what, less than 10 years or something like that. But you know, you know, you know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, I ran into this one boxer, and he held the world title. He actually held the world title. Matter of fact, he held it twice. He was from Detroit. And about a couple years before I left Michigan, I used to go around the gym and kind of watch him train and stuff. And one day I walked in the gym and looked at him, and he was standing there with some other former boxers or whatever, or boxing people in the gym. And he asked me a crazy question like, did I know him? And I said, yeah. I said, you so-and-so. And so I just walked on off, right? Next thing I know, I thought I could walk up to him and just have chitter-chatter like we did in the past prior to that. And this Negro straight up told me, you want to get your butt in that ring with me? And then other people in the gym that was training just looked at me and looked at him and just shook their head because they knew he was wrong by how he came off at me. You know, and yeah, he's a professional boxer and I'm not. So, but I still wasn't worried about it because I would have known what to do if he would have tried to put his hand on me, okay? It was one of them type of situations. Even if that would have meant me losing my freedom. You know? Because one thing about it, I don't care how much you know how to fight, even as a professional boxer or mixed martial artist, you can't stop that steel from getting put in you. And you sure can't beat a bullet. You can't dodge a bullet. So I don't care who you are. You know what I'm saying? In that aspect, that don't matter at that point. And the situation is what I'm saying could have turned real nasty. Just because of the way how he came off. And this Negro wasn't making the kind of money that Floyd Mayweather was making. He wasn't making the kind of money that Devin Haney, people like Lomachenko, or them other big high-paid professional boxers like that brother from Alabama, Deontay Wilder, is making. You see what I'm saying? He wasn't making no money, nowhere near that kind of money. And he really, truthfully wasn't about crap. He really wasn't crap anyway as a boxer. Because I used to watch young teenage amateurs give him hell in the ring doing sparring sessions, okay? I literally sat and watched that take place. So he really wasn't about nothing, even as a pro boxer. And the only way he got his notoriety was through that Contender Series that Oscar De La Hoya and Sylvester Stallone had going on ESPN years ago. But he wasn't nothing like Floyd Mayweather and them. And this guy, like I say, he wasn't making nowhere near the kind of money they was making. But the fact of the matter was, he thought he was better than me. And you could see that in his attitude. You see? And this is what my point is that saying all this is that these people who come up some kind of way in life, they just think they better than you. And you ain't nothing to them. It's like you less than the spit on the ground to them. You lower than the spit on the ground to them. That's how they think of you. That's why I don't have no respect for these celebrities and these sports, personalities. And today, if I was living in the cities, like where I used to see them at in New York City, I don't care if it was in New York, LA, I walk past them, you understand? Like they just any other everyday Joe Blow on the streets. Because they just human like anybody else. They piss and they doodle. And take a dump just like anybody else do.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So, and most of them came from poverty, like the rest of us. And where a lot of us remain. You see? And see, that's another problem, is that they forgot about that. It wasn't like they was born rich or stuff handed down to them. Like most of them rich folks who had a silver spoon handed to them. No, they didn't get it like that. Yeah, okay. I got that. They didn't get it like that. But at the same time, that still don't give them no right to look down on people like us as far as where they came from. And that even make it worse because they know what it is to be poor. They know what it is to be impoverished. Matter of fact, some of them know what it is to be in prison. Ask Mike Tyson. And there was several of them other boxers who've been to prison before they even started becoming successful as boxers. But the reason I mention him because he's the most prominently known one. You know what I'm saying? So some of them was even in gangs. Matter of fact, it's his brother. He's one of the best superstars in that sport now. He's from here in Nebraska, out of Omaha, Nebraska, which is 1 hour away from me. His name is Terrence Bud Crawford. Okay. And he's considered as one of the best pound for pound boxers today out there. And I over recently ago ran into him. Someone here in town, a friend of mine, took me to watch him go play basketball because he does, you know, get down on that basketball court too, you know. And he was playing around with average guys and stuff, you know. And like a few other people, I was able to get in there and shake his hand and take a picture with him, you know, and stuff like that. Now, out of once in a blue moon, he's a prime example, you know, because he didn't let that money get to his head. Matter of fact, his mama still live in the same neighborhood that he grew up in North Omaha, Nebraska, which is considered the poorest area, or at least one of the poorest areas of Omaha. Okay, his mama still lived there. I know a guy personally here in town who cuts my hair, who I go to get my shave at this school barber shop. And he lives in Omaha, and he lives right down the street from her. Okay. So these people, you'll once in a blue moon find people like that with that type of, you know, celebrity status and money status that don't forget where they come from. Plus, he was a blood gang member. Again, I'm going to repeat that. He was a blood gang member, which a lot of people don't know about. You see what I'm saying? And I got more respect for him than I got for a lot of the other boxers, so-called boxers that I met in the past. I'm talking about the ones like coming out of Floyd Mayweather's generation. You know? Because he ain't forgot where he came from. You know? And that's just sad when it's only, you get only very few people like that in between that come from that celebrity wealthy status. You see what I'm saying? But that's what's making our society more divided, because of people with that mentality. Matter of fact, I saw on social media, you know, where Floyd Mayweather almost got into a fight with a fan because he just simply walked up to him and asked him for his autograph. You ain't had that coming from people like Muhammad Ali, not even from Mike Tyson. Not even from, you know, you didn't have that coming from people like that. This guy was ready to fight somebody, literally, until his bodyguards got in between the situation. All this guy walked up to him for was for him to sign an autograph. And this fool wanted to fight him. That's when I even lost more respect for him. You see what I'm saying? And this is the same guy, before he even got that popular, he couldn't even look me in his face when I was just trying to have cordial conversation with him. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, you know, these people, you know what I'm saying? These people, you know, you can't respect. It's just like you can't, with them, it's just like you can't respect law enforcement in this country because they don't have no respect for their own self when it come to following the law. So how you gonna respect them and they can't respect themselves? That's the same thing with these so-called celebrities. They don't have that type of respect, a cordialness, a common courtesy about themselves. That's why certain people get on their level anyway and disrespect them in the streets because they, you know, put out that type of aura. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, you know, it's that type of situation. And like I said before, you know what I'm saying? I've lost a lot of respect for them type of people over the years. And then they don't give a damn about us anyway. They got their money. They trying to live like a comfortable slave, like somebody say. And that's all it is to it. You know? That's why I don't get caught up in that celebrity crap. A lot of times I see stuff about them on Facebook, or anywhere on the social media internet, and I just scroll past it. Unless I'm watching a boxing match or something on my on one of my apps or something, you know, I don't got nothing. I'm not interested in what they got and none of that. But it's their personality alone that shows who they are. And this is what we got to deal with in this society. And this is one reason we got all this division in society. Like I said earlier, in some countries, you got rich and poor people that live in the same neighborhoods together and get along very fine. I forgot what countries it is, but all you got to do is get on there and research it if that's what you do. But I've came across some videos about that. And that's far from, you know, the class division that we see in this country. And see, they want to keep it like that. And that's one reason why soul people can't come together. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, check this out. You got people who ain't even famous that got money. Matter of fact, check this out. You got people that make 80,000 a year, 90,000 a year, 100,000 a year, right? They think they better than people that's making below 20,000 a year. You see what I'm saying? Or people that's got way below that. You see? And these people ain't even made it up into the hundreds of thousands yet. And this is what you would have normally considered your middle class in the past. But these people think they better than us. Those that are definitely in poverty. You see what I'm saying? And like I say, I seen that even among my own relatives. That's why today I don't even talk to a big number of my relatives. That's one of the reasons. And that's one of the reasons why, in general, I have to watch out who I deal with, you know, in the public, because people got this distorted mentality that they think they better than you. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, you know, it's like, and they think you weak because you're poorer than them. That's another thing I want to point out too. You know, and that's definitely a dangerous thing when you look at the person as being weak because he got lesser than you, or he in a lesser worse financial situation than you. You know? Right. I agree. Cool for rock and roll. Like you say, I only respect a person who does the work and remain humble They treat others good and treat them good. You see what I'm saying? That's all you ask for. And a lot of these celebrities and so-called rich people, they ain't even got that common courtesy about themselves these days. And I listen to music a lot. You know, like you know, EnVogue is Angel Snuff 7 favorite female entertainers. Well, one of my favorite female entertainers I kind of always felt attracted to, I ain't gonna lie, was Janet Jackson. But check this out, I wouldn't even walk up to her, let alone asking for an autograph. I wouldn't even say, I wouldn't, you know what? Even if I recognized her on the streets, I'd walk past her like I would a common Joe Blow on the street, because I don't know how she would respond. Yeah, you know. I don't know her like that. She might walk up to me and talk about and tell her bodyguard, hey, get that nigga back away from me. Push that nigga back away from me or something. You see what I'm saying? Not saying that she would do that actually, but you never know. You don't know what's coming from where these people is coming from. All you just trying to do is be cordial to them. You see what I'm saying? You know? You know, like one of my favorite rappers, and you know, I ain't too much into that rap music like that. One of my favorite all-time rappers, Rakim. You know, KIS. I met KIS 1 years ago in Atlanta. That he's always been sort of a down-to-earth grassroots brother. You know what I'm saying? So he wouldn't come off as a person like that. But you know, I ran across Will Smith. You know, that's before he became even more big in the game or the entertainment industry, you know. But you know, it was like some of these people that you might listen to, your favorite entertainers or singers or something like that. You don't know where they might, what mode they might be in when you walk up to them. And I'm talking about not in the ignorant way, but in a cordial way. You still don't know where they might come from, because that's the mentality they got. They've been so engulfed into that life of the rich and famous position that you don't know. Like I say, you don't know how they might come in response. They might snap and look at you like, nigga, what you want? And like I said, I just gave you a good example. Like with Floyd Mayweather. You know? You don't know what they you don't know what they might say. You know, and this is why I try to tell people it is a big division in this country, and it transcends beyond race and ethnicity when you're talking about classism. You see what I'm saying? I bet you can't walk up to Louis Farrakhan and shake his hands without getting some pushback from his FOI bodyguards. And he's supposed to be a community leader. He's supposed to be the leader of a community, right? Somebody walk up. I remember, oh man, hey, Angel Snuff 7. check this out, Angel Brother, Angel Sub 7. I remember I was at that 18th anniversary of the Day of Atonement that they started in the 1995 Million Man March that you say you went to, right? And this event was being held in Tuskegee, Alabama, 10 years ago almost, matter of fact, to be about. And me and some brothers went down there when I was calling myself Processing Interfaircon's organization at the time. And we went down there. And I walked up to that brother Akbar. What's his name? The brother, same brother that you say was a part of the St. Louis temple that you was in. And I walked right up to him and tried to shake his hand. Do you know when I extended my hand, he gave me one of the fake handshakes and kind of like shoved me back. Not literally pushed me back, but you know what I'm saying? He kind of shoved my hand back. Like, are you serious? Yeah, this was Akbar Muhammad. Yeah, this was Akbar Muhammad, the same one that you remember as a minister of the mosque that you attended in St. Louis. Yeah, this was Akbar Muhammad. This was actually Akbar Muhammad, yes. I'm like, are you serious? And then the FOI got in the way and kind of like, you know, not push me back, but like yo, like kind of in the back, like you better back up posture way. You see what I'm saying? And I'm like, what? I lost respect for him from that point on. I didn't get emotional about it. I didn't even let him see me sweating. You see what I'm saying? But I lost respect for him from that point on. You see what I'm saying? And I don't think this Negro got as well as the nearest the well type of wealth that Farrakhan got. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, these people, you know, you can't, these people are supposed to be community activists. The hell with being celebrity entertainers and all that. That's nothing compared to what a community activist should be when you engaging with the public. You see what I'm saying? These are actually supposed to be community activists, and they acting like this. So this is why I say, man, our society is divided. Our society is very divided, man. And like I say, bro, I don't have no respect for them, man. You know, a lot of respect for them has went out the window. And I'd rather not even be in the presence. In a way, I'm glad that I'm living in a place where I don't even have access to even run into them type of people like that. Geographically wise, you know what I'm saying? And in a way, I'm glad that in that case, at this point in my life, that exists, because, you know, these people are even in the position to help the community, but they won't. And especially when they are up under a certain title, which demands of them to help the people. You see what I'm saying? And they won't. Oh, what was that this brother said? Let me read this topic here. You said same thing happened to me back in 2019 when I went to ATL Caribbean Carnival in May 2019, Memorial Weekend. Wow. A Caribbean singer. I called out to them and they threw shade at me with blank expression. Wow. Shade they threw. I didn't quite understand that, but yeah, I see where you coming from, brother. Yeah, I definitely see. Yeah, it's the arrogance and ego of their pride. Yeah. And see, it's no excuse for that. And what you say here, Joe Biden is no different either, even Kamala Harris. Of course, brother. Of course. Them is politicians. Yeah, of course. Listen, check this out. Jimmy Carter is probably one of the only politicians you will find once in a blue moon that'll reach out much as he have done to help poor people when he was in office and since he was in office. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, a lot of them politicians got that mentality, brother, definitely, especially when they're in power positions like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Yeah, so yes, that's definitely the truth. Okay, what you say here? We all through it and be forgetting who helped them to get where they are. Yes, definitely. Yes, definitely. Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. Hell yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, definitely. And you know, it's all about power and control for money. Definitely. I concur. Definitely. And see, one thing, somebody like Kamala Harris, I just want y'all to know, whether y'all know or not, I'm remind y'all, Kamala Harris, at the beginning of her career as a criminal prosecutor out in California, she got her bones off of sending black people to prison, okay? Especially under that Strike 3 law, that Proposition 36 law they had out there, especially back in the 90s when they was incarcerating all them brothers. I still got a relative today out there in California who's doing a lot of time up under that law. You see what I'm saying? Matter of fact, out of the same district where she was an attorney general, I think Alameda County. I think that's in Oakland. That's where Oakland at, I believe, Oakland. In Alameda County, yeah, that's where she was an attorney general at. Yeah, but she got her bones off for actually just sending black people to prison left and right. So yeah, I would definitely expect for her, you know what I'm saying? And for nothing in the world, I wish Joe Biden, but Joe Biden was a proponent of that 1994 Crime Reform Act bill, which also helped send a lot of our people to prison with all these, big lumps of time, that some of them is sitting in prison for still to date. And that's destroyed many families and communities, But anyway, yeah. And that's why he probably chose her as vice president, because she on the same page with him when it comes to that, Right. Of course. But yeah, you wouldn't expect, you know what I'm saying, people like that to return back common courtesy. You wouldn't expect people to come back at you with that type of common courtesy or that type of cordial respect as you would give to them, What you say here, even Biden has hit black people with insults before he became commander in chief. Some black folks caught up into the politics backing them up in Democratic Party, they're brainwashed. Yeah, that's true. I concur with that, brother. And I'm gonna tell you something. I voted for him, but the reason I voted for him because, of course, like a lot of other people, I voted for him just for the reason that people wanted Trump out of there, because Trump was effing up the country for real. No, you know, cut and dry. No other way to put it. That's the reason why I voted for Joe Biden. I didn't vote. Matter of fact, he wasn't even my choice of candidate on that Democratic ticket. You know who it was? It was Barry Sanders, the one that they kept saying was a socialist. He was my choice for that Democratic presidential nomination back in 2020. But because Biden, of course, got past him and ended up becoming the nominee, and you know, when I voted for him, and even knowing all that damn history about him in terms and concerning soul black people, I was like, man, you know what? I got to do this, but we don't need Trump in there. It wasn't even because of Joe Biden. It was the focus on Trump. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, brother, I definitely concur with you. And in 2024, I'm not voting, period. I've decided I'm not voting, period. I even voted for Obama. And of course, we still in the same condition. So what, you know? But I'm not voting no more after this. I'm done with voting. I still got my voter's registration card and all that, but I'm not voting, man. The hell with that. You know, it's on us to do something. That's why we still got the Mississippi campaign on the table. But those of us that's interested in that, you see what I'm saying? But I'm not voting no more, because you cannot depend on these politicians. They've proven over and over too many times not to have our best interests. You know? And yes, I do know that Joe Biden, you know, said some very insulting things, as you say, about black people. Matter of fact, before he became a senator in the U.S. House or the Senate, it was a riot where he from in Wilmington, Delaware. They had a race riot back in the 60s. And ever since then, from my understanding, he always showed disdain for black people because of that, you know, publicly. So, you know what I'm saying? Yes. And of course, like I said, he had a lot to do with that Crime Reform Act bill that Bill Clinton signed back in the 90s. So yes, yes, I definitely concur with what you're saying about that, brother. But like I said, moving along, you know, in this country, and I understand that it's nowhere in the world on the planet Earth that we can escape this oppression that we see, because it's worldwide. And of course, dark-skinned people, or black people as you want to call it, are mistreated throughout the world, even in the continent. You got racism coming from Caucasians that are over there on the continent right now that own businesses that don't even hire black people within the borders of their own country. Matter of fact, it's this one Italian business guy over in Ghana that got a sign posted up saying he would not hire black people, but he got his company in a country over in Ghana. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, you know, yeah, we are disrespected all over the world. as dark-skinned people. You know, I don't care where you go, Asia, places like Malaysia, you know, Thailand, Ghana, South Africa, wherever you go, even in the Caribbean, you know what I'm saying? We're not respected nowhere on this planet, especially those of us who are descendants of slaves born here in America. But yes, we are respected nowhere on this planet, you know, yeah, so you know, I definitely would expect, you know, for people like those racists and politicians, you know, with power especially, to feel a certain way about us, even if we were to approach them in a cordial manner. You know, I could expect something like that, brother. You know, Cool for Rock and Roll. I could definitely expect something like that without no doubt. And I mean, you know, it's crazy as it's said, but you know, actually, it's a lot of these going back to what we talk about on this platform with these pro-black conscious ones, like Louis Farrakhan. You know what? When I was in that so-called Nubian organization that go up under another name presently, I couldn't even get next to Dr. Malachi York, and I only seen him once. And I've heard other people that was a part of that organization, which was a cult and still is a cult, you know, like the other pro-black conscious organizations that are say that, you know, basically, it was basically hard to even get access to that guy, you know? You couldn't even if you tried to greet him, he probably wouldn't even say nothing to you. I've heard this actually, especially when he was, the organization was up under the Islamic banner at the time, when it was known as the Nubian Islamic Hebrew Mission, or the Ansar Allah community, you know, and you know, yeah. So it was hard to get access to him like that. And I'm pretty sure it was like that in the nation of the Black Hebrew Israelites under Yahweh ben Yahweh, because he was definitely a tyrant, like Malachi York himself was. You know, he was definitely a tyrant. And, you know, like I said, you know, you can't, like I said earlier, you can't just walk up to Louis Farrakhan. And that was the big difference with him and Brother Malcolm X. You could walk up to Malcolm X. Like I told you, it was a relative that just passed away yesterday. She had access to where she could talk to Malcolm X. Actually shook hands with the brother, you know, and had access to him. Big access to him. You see what I'm saying? He even extended himself to her before she extended herself to him, from my understanding of what I was told by a relative, you know? But yeah, Malcolm X was that type of guy. He was that type of brother, you know? You could walk up to him just like any common everyday person and talk to him about anything. Plus considering where he came from prior to him becoming Malcolm X, aka El Hajj Malik Shabazz. You know, so I mean, that was a total big difference between him and Louis Farrakhan. This is why Louis Farrakhan is definitely nothing like Malcolm X. I don't care how much the Nation of Islam try to paint it out to be, like he's some better divine leader or whatever, or great leader than Malcolm X was. No, he is not. Malcolm X was definitely greater than him, though he's dead and gone, you know, and that still to this day remain a fact. You see, so you know, it's like I said, man. By the way, you could walk up to people like Martin Luther King Jr. He was embracively, you know, known for extending himself to the public. I mean, he was out there marching with them while he was taking bricks and rocks being thrown at him, sticks thrown at him or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Tear gas sicked on him. So we know he was a brother that extended himself to the community. You didn't have to worry about getting a pushback if you walked up to him just to even shake his hand. You see what I'm saying? You know? But you know, the thing about it is that we have to understand and realize, people, that this is why it's a big difference even from that time. And this is why we see more division in this society today. Because we don't have people like him and Malcolm X around any longer. This is why you got, you know what I'm saying, rejects like Louis Farrakhan still here. Because we still accept these people as leaders in the so-called community. Why they robbing our people blind? Just to pay Peter and Paul. And so that they could be financially comfortable themselves. You see what I'm saying? Like I said earlier, where they families ain't got nothing to worry about. But you got a lot of them followers, like even Brother Snuff said in that organization, that could barely pay their rent. Some even were homeless, I'm sure. You know. Had holes in their shoes while they was out there trying to sell final call papers. But this Negro walking around with $1,000 pair of gaiters on his feet and a $10,000 suit. You see what I'm saying? While his followers struggling like hell just to make it from day to day, hoping they don't even lose their apartment or get put out on the street. You see what I'm saying? And if they got put out on the street, they couldn't go to his mansion in Chicago and knock on his door to ask to be let in. If anything, they'll be met by a force of FOI security. And we know what that come with. So like I said, you know, you know, this is what we're dealing with. This is the reality of the whole situation that we're actually dealing with. You know,
And like I said, this is nothing to play with. This is serious. We are in a very serious time. We are in a very serious time. Like speaking of a reggae singer, brother, cool for rock and roll, like Capleton, that reggae singer from Jamaica would say, we are in a serious time. Yes, that's for real. We are in a very serious time. We're in serious times, you know, and I mean, it's like, it's getting worse and worse because we won't come together on a common collective basis to do a damn thing about it. So this is what we getting. This is why we was damn nearly finna get a default on the American economy. And I could go all night into what could have came out of that. And of course, none of us, like I said, was prepared for that. Not at all, period. We wasn't prepared for it. And I mean, you know, this is real. This is why we try to bring solutions to the best of our ability. And this is why we try to get other people like y'all to come on the platform, like you, Cool for Rock and Roll, and others that come listen on this platform to offer your expertise toward a concrete solution that could change our situation, especially as soul Black people, for once and for all in this country. Well, our future generations won't know this type of reality, nor the reality that our ancestors seen before us during slavery and Jim Crow. You know? So, like I said, we need to understand and realize that this is a very serious time. And like the Nation of Islam itself says, what we must do in these times. Ain't that how they say it, brother Angel Snuff 7? The time and what we must do. Yeah, the time and what we must do. You know? So, yeah. I mean, it's crazy, but it's the reality of the whole situation. Even though the Nation of Islam don't live by that creed, but it's still a part of the reality because of the seriousness of our situation. You know, and I would like to say this because I've been on here for over 2 hours and I'm getting tongue-tied a little bit. So if anybody got anything to say or want to join this platform, you're welcome to do so, of course. But I'm gonna have to, for right now, yield this mic back to our brother Taalik and let him take it along whichever way he wants to do it. And with that said, and also to you, brother Angel Snuff 7, thanks for letting me have this time to share this message live on this platform today. And with that said, peace.
Tell me your secret wish and I will tell you mine. Whatever you want and whatever you need, I would give the stars above if you'd only talk to me. Tell me your secret wish. Tell me your secret. again.
My brother Angel Snub 7, and to give props to him because I listened to all of Angel Snub 7's videos. I think that he comes from, and there's a powerful message out of the videos that he put out, and I try to catch up. I look at him as a free thinker and a person that's willing to challenge those of which he don't agree or make different. And I really respect him for that. He's challenged KNBS, and he has also challenged the supremacy movement as well. And I have nothing against that because that which cannot be challenged cannot stand, and will not survive the test of time. How many challenges we can withstand will determine how long we will be able to stand.